People used to say that if you go woke, you go broke. We're here to tell you that has exponentially increased. You don't just go broke, apparently you lose your publicly traded status. Ubisoft is the latest disaster from DEI and ESG. Today, we're going to tell you what's going on with the video game company that suddenly may not even be available for shareholders to share anymore. It's such a strange tale, but one we know so well from the woke apocalypse. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the place that brings sanity to an insane world otherwise. It is the Pro Channel, and we are coming to you from a studio in somewhere sunny USA. Always beautiful to say the truth, and we take it very seriously with a capital T. Today we're talking about Ubisoft, a game company that has decided to do what Disney has done in entertainment, but there is no fun to be had in France, for it looks as if they've lost their pants and everything else as well. Ubisoft may have to sell, and go private. Panel, let's tell them what's up. OutOfThatParkPlace.com, the website that if you are not yet bookmarked to it, well, you should be, by John the Amazing Trent. Ubisoft appears to confirm rumors it is considering taking company private with Tencent. You might as well say taking company private with China. Same thing. An Ubisoft spokesman appeared to confirm rumors that the company is considering taking itself private with the CCP, C to the C to the P. Last week's Bloomberg's Vinci Chan, Dong Chao, and Benoit Berthelot, I have no idea how to pronounce these. Anyone does, you can hop in, claimed that the Tencent Holdings and the Guillemot family were considering options, including a potential buyout of the French video game developer after it lost more than half its market value this year, according to people familiar with the matter. My understanding is that also losing half its market value this year is just the beginning of things. It's lost way more than that over the last years. The report added the Chinese tech company and the Guillemot brothers have been speaking with advisors to help explore ways to stabilize Ubisoft and bolster its value, the people said. Asked not to be identified discussing a private matter. One of the possibilities being discussed would involve teaming up to take the company private, according to the people. The people, of course. Before we read any further, Savvy, I don't know if you've heard this before. It's seldom said across social media, but I have heard a few people say, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And it seems to me that that was part of the campaign going up to Star Wars Outlaws, part of the campaign going up to Assassin's Creed. And I think that has not worked so well for these companies when their social media and community managers say, if you don't like it, then go, whatever yourself. If you don't like it, don't buy the game. I think that the audience is doing that. And I don't think they anticipated that it would actually happen. What do you think about all this, Savvy?
It is a two-sided problem. They are indeed stating the obvious of if you don't like it, don't buy it. And they're saying that in response to valid criticism of people who could potentially be more easily swayed to purchase it. The reason why people are even complaining is because they're seeing discrepancies in what was once a pinnacle of quality, fun, and exploration turn into something that's more watered down, something with graphical issues, something that puts its representation before it puts the story. And people just want to know why. And so if the response is, if you don't like it, don't buy it, instead of, oh no, we do still care about the story. Oh no, we're putting forward our best foot and the best possible quality product. If that's what the response is, then people are going to say, whoa, this is entertainment, buddy. I don't have to spend my money on you to survive. So they're just getting what they want.
Yes, and it's fascinating to watch. You would never see this done in industries outside of entertainment. You would never see a fast food company say, well, if you don't like our food, don't come here. The restaurant would say, well, we'd like to improve.
Yeah, I think that it's all a part of what does the access media always say about, the quote unquote toxic fans? Oh, it's just a vocal minority. It's just a vocal minority. I think a lot of them still think that it's a vocal minority. So they say, you don't like it, don't buy it. They think it's just a vocal minority. It won't, but then people take their advice and the properties tank. And then it's like, wait, why didn't you buy this? You're toxic for not buying this. You're an incel for not buying this. They might not want you anymore. They might want to replace the existing demographic with a new, shiny, more diverse demographic. But the problem is those demographics either don't show up, they have no interest, or they're not large enough to form to make something financially viable. And when they don't show up, you still need that old demographic to boost you up into the black.
There's a few things with that too. So the other issue is the people who are taking on community management positions, they have zero training in customer service. What they're using the position for is a way to pat themselves on the back to feel like they're part of the development team, that they're part of the creative process, when that couldn't be further from the truth. That position is meant to literally be borderline just a communications individual. You're bridging the gap between your customer and the actual developers. You're bringing legitimate complaints back, but then you're also bringing updates and information to the community to keep the community happy. You're not supposed to have all the answers, but what we're supposed to say is, hey, I'll go ask the team about this. Let me see what I can tell you later. We'll put out a news press thing, or we'll put out an update. Stay tuned. We're going to take care of this, and we're going to see what we can do for you, or X amount of people, or whoever, because chances are if one person has a question, so many other people have that exact same question as well. And the community manager just represents that. That's it. It's not a position of power. It's not, marketing. You're not supposed to put your foot down and say what a product is or isn't. You're just supposed to deliver information back and forth in a professional manner.
And yet, for a position with no power, they tend to hire the biggest or littlest or smallest narcissists I've ever seen. Reading a little bit further into the article, it says, now an Ubisoft spokesman appeared to confirm this is being discussed. Said to VGC, Ubisoft has noted recent press speculation regarding potential interests around the company. It regularly reviews all its strategic options in the interest of stakeholders and will inform the market if and when appropriate. The spokesman added the company reiterates that management is currently focused on executing its strategy centered on two core verticals: open world adventures and gas native experiences. Now, I'm into gaming and I don't even know what gas native experiences is.
That's games as a service, like
games as a service. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking live service was still the in vogue, but perhaps not. Okay. So here's my theory on all of this. And you panelists, you tell me what you think of it. It seems to me that Ubisoft, and perhaps because they were tied and tethered to Disney, in some small part, I don't mean to blame all of this on Disney, but it seems to me that Ubisoft has been going the same route as Disney when it comes to the woke agenda. The difference in the way that these companies are handling the fallout from it is that Disney is largely a theme park company. And so they can subsidize, or at least they have been in the past, subsidizing the terrible results of woke ideology and ideological capture in their entertainment through the theme parks and through the fact that they're a really big company that can absorb some of that. Ubisoft, on the other hand, is just a video game company. That's it. And because they're just a video game company, they have nothing else to absorb the damage that's being done to them. And this is why I think that Disney and the rest of the entertainment third-party partners out there who come in and join forces with Paramount or Warner Brothers or Disney or whatever, they're the ones who are really taking the horrible blows of this because they don't have the largesse, they don't have the grandiose nature of these big companies to handle the damage. They just have to fold or go private or whatever. Culture, what do you think of that? Is that a correct assessment of the situation, or is it limited perhaps?
Well, I think that Ubisoft's collapse or any other studio's issues is largely a part of seeking, as Marvin was talking about and Savvy was talking about, the fact that they're looking for support from a non-existent audience. There hasn't been anybody there. And when they put people in power, as Savvy was talking about, these they're supposed to be liaisons. They're kind of like the cruise directors of these companies. I think that oftentimes they really are putting activists in place, and they're basically sending out the wrong message. And when it comes to delivering the games, when they finally reach the customers, I think that the game companies no longer, because they've compromised the people involved in producing them, I think that they're under delivering products that have been promised to the end user. The end user is expecting something of quality, something that is, manufactured in a way that if you released it in a non-digital form, a physical form, that it would be ready to go right out of the box. And we don't have that anymore. So it inspires consumers like myself to not purchase pre-sales. And a lot of these game studios are relying on, and investors in turn are relying on pre-sale numbers to give them some indication of the success rate of the game. And now, if you consider that only, reportedly, the Assassin's Creed Shadows game had 7% of the pre-sales of the previously released Avatar, I think that's a problem. And in turn, it drives down the stock price, which, as you pointed out, is much more than the 50% value they've lost this year. It's a 5-year slide from, I guess, over $100 per share, if I'm not mistaken.
Which,
So,
in terms of just the price per share, which is not the same as the number of shares,
right.
But the price per share was something approximating the same as Disney. Now, again, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say that they were of the same value for the total corporate assets, but what I am saying is, I mean, you can imagine the panic that would be happening if Disney had dropped from where they are right now to $13. I mean, it would be a total pandemonium. Jonas, the gaming industry is something like 13 times the size of the film industry. I think it's time for them to abandon the woke stuff. The woke stuff damaged film, and that was plenty enough for me. I think it's time to drop it and go back to universal mainstream entertainment that goes to the center and makes money. Is that?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Obviously,
I expected you to counter me. You were supposed to be the voice in favor of woke gaming. Darn it, Jonas, we went over this.
Yep. I'm gonna. I don't know how to respond to that, Pro.
You're gonna pass.
Talk about the fact I had a channel. I have a channel called Everything Woke. The purpose of that channel was to be able to hand something instead of, showing up at an event and somebody saying, like a party or whatever, and a parent would ask me, "Hey, you're familiar with Disney stuff. What's in this?" And then, as I tried to describe to them item after item that was wrong in a movie or a children's property or something like that, it started to come out as a rant every time. So instead, I start a channel where I just go, okay, well, here it is. Here are all the things that are in this. And
it's purposefully in there. We've recognized that now. They've come out and bragged about it. So it's not as if it just happenstancely appears in these entertainment pieces.
Right. And eventually it gets to the point, as more people are aware of this, that they start going, is it safe to take my children to whatever this is? And when we say safe, it can range from trying to indoctrinate your kids into something that you don't want them indoctrinated into, or talking about a subject that is not appropriate for a 4-year-old on the car ride home from a children's movie. There's degrees of safety there. But I think if you hear, no, this is fine, you might go watch it the next week because you want to go out and do something with your family. When we're talking about a video game, especially when a lot of the video games that are top sellers, unless it's Nintendo, are in that T or M rated M level right here, you have an audience that is getting ready to spend $60, $70 on something and spend a lot of time in this world. And if they don't feel like they are welcome in that world, if they feel like the people who make it have disdain for them, they don't want to spend money on that. And I think it's just basically, if you know that someone despises you, you have to be creating something of excellence they have to be creating something of excellence in order to get through that market hurdle right there. But Ubisoft is not known for excellence. They're known for fine. And if all of their games are going to be fine or less, then they really cannot survive the disdain of their audience that they're showing.
Well, guys, we've got we were going to go to super chats right now. I'll give everybody
an
opportunity
do.
For
we really do
it.
need to go to super chats.
Okay, well, we will
I've
then.
I've got another little long-winded, not really
please.
long-winded thing, but this kind of helps tie everything together. So the other thing that people need to keep in mind is that Ubisoft is a French company, and they handle DEI and ESG differently because they are so much more deeply entrenched in it. And so just to bring back to a previous point, they hire people who are not qualified for positions, and the quality of the products have diminished. We've seen this for years now. If you look at their initiatives, they have a very clear focus. The product manager for Assassin's Creed is a mobile game guy, and he doesn't know the first thing about adventure console games at this scale, and by his own tweets admits his focus was rallying the gays on day one. not the game. He was taking credit for something that had already been part of Ubisoft for 2 years in terms of gay representation. Blackstone, on top of that, 2 years ago was actually willing to buy Ubisoft, but Ubisoft actually said no. Today, I can't see Blackstone thinking that it's a good choice, but the reason why Tencent is considering it isn't because it's Ubisoft and they're going to save it. They'll gut the company, they'll get rid of it, but they'll absorb the IPs.
Yes.
And that's what they really want. There are, a decade or more of Assassin's Creed now? It's like 15 years?
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah,
it's
gamers are very unforgiving in that regard. If you mess with their stories, they're not going to give you a second chance. So you don't mess with their quality and their stories. But none of this goes away until the government incentives go away, which is, how we end up with ESG scores and things like that, because they're calculated and pushed in a very specific way. DEI language, however, may go away, as we've seen with Larry Fink's recent talks, because he's now admitting that it's been weaponized. But if you look at Microsoft with Halo, look at who the overseer is, the gender critical sociologist, and I put that in quotes. That's bridge in action. It's baked into the position. It's no longer a separate department. There is an actual calculated reason why they hired a sociologist who specializes in gender studies as the overseer, and not somebody who actually has any experience on games.
Yeah, and I'm loath for the Chinese government to get its hands into any major industry like this, but you might start to see Assassin's Creed games that no longer focus on the message, because we all know the Chinese are not all about that message. And with Black Myth Wukong, they learned what sells, and I think you're going to start to see that.
I'll also point out, if it hasn't been stated in all of this, that Tencent is not just 10 times the size of Ubisoft. It's more like 100 times the size of Ubisoft. So they can right now, if they wanted to buy all of Ubisoft, that is, I don't even know that that's at the level that they have to report it to investors. It's so small compared to them. And the IPs are definitely worth more than the value of the entire company, which any company would be in danger at that point. But this one, with access to a market that has not been successfully wokeified, I think that's a very tempting piece there for a company like Tencent.
Well, I'm not surprised that they're putting forth that effort, because, as Savvy pointed out, I mean, you have 18 games just with Assassin's Creed alone. In a franchise that started in 2007, so we almost have 20 years of material. You have mobile games, you have basically the entire gambit. And if you're trying to pretend, and Savvy, don't hate me, but if you're trying to pretend that girl gamers actually are a significant portion of console and PC games, you're fooling yourself. The majority of lady gamers are playing on mobile stuff. So if you can have reach into every category just with Assassin's Creed alone, you got a big win. Then you have, of course, all the phone games that they have access to. You have obviously all of these other IPs that you would love to mine, like Watch Dogs, which Legion ran itself into the ground, and many of these other things that they've developed over the years that people love, and they're continuing to drive a Rainbow Six into the ground. If you excuse the last 5 things that they've released that have been complete trash fires, because that's where we're at now. We have 5 trash fires in a row if you count Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is about to come out. You're going to have every reason for an investor to want to bail out and get paid. So, has this been planned the entire time? It's been suggested. I think Legendary Drops, Asmongold, several other folks, including some people that are on my team for that gameplays, would suggest the same, that this kind of was a planned deal between Tencent and the Guimont family for them to just get out and get paid. Otherwise, why would you open your own holding company up to sale to Tencent in the first place? Because the Chinese are coming around from 2 different flanks here. You've got the frontal assault with Ubisoft, and then you've got the around the rear going after the family holding company.
And for those of you who are not aware of that, 49% of the Guimot's holdings are currently owned by Tencent. The holding company that has their assets in it is 49%, and then Tencent has more shares on their own. I don't know if the Guimont family has shares outside of that, but that means that Tencent has more control than the Guimont family. Also, right now, the management of the company is a list of Guimots, and the board of directors is a list of Guimots. There are other names on there, but a majority of this company is controlled right now by that. So when they say they have the board has an investigation into
It
the
doesn't mean
management,
anything.
it is me wondering who ate the cake that was sitting on the counter last night. You know, I know who ate the cake on the counter last night.
Well, and they know they know the point at which they went sideways, because as Savvy suggested, when they made their deep dive into the DEI ESG baloney sausage bridge craptasticness, when they did that, they were compelled to do that. Why? Because if you go back in time, and again, I've got a 20 story thing that I'm compiling into one, that where this all started was when they had the Me Too moments inside their company, in their own family, which actually lost some of the Guimont family positions of power within the company at Ubisoft. So, if you messed around with your employees and you were targeted, which is happening in France, you had 3 executives resign. There's actually criminal charges that were just filed less than a year ago in France for some of those people. You had 2 more executives leave. You had their people person, their HR person there, get forced out in, I believe, 2021. She got run off, and you have employees that are primarily activists that are writing letters saying you need to make the company better, and then a year later they're complaining. You have stories by Axios, you have stories by all of these entities that have been targeting them. And say what you will about Jason Schreier, he's one of the people that got the ball rolling, but the problem is, because he got that ball rolling, Ubisoft is now a terrible company for it. They were much better off before they had activists walk in the door and attack them, for basically what seemed to go on in every single company. It's just,
Yeah, so they expanded their HR department, and from my conversation with the high res president, he's
Mhm.
basically just confirmed things that we've already known all along,
Yeah,
where HR will tell you, hey, if you do these kinds of training courses, you can avoid legal repercussions. And so there's obviously in
Mhm.
America both state and country mandated training sessions. And then if you look into some of the EU, it's even more time wasty than that. They make you take these mandatory training courses so that way they can avoid any legal repercussions. And
yeah,
all of that has gone haywire since the 2016 and the Me Too and
yeah,
all that garbage. Yes, obviously, workplace harassment sucks and should be avoided, and people do need to take accountability for their actions. However, the
yeah,
people who do need to take accountability seldom do, and telling a person through a training course so that way the company can avoid legal repercussions, don't touch your coworkers, like that's just a big time waster for everybody. That's not going to stop a bad person from doing bad things. It's I don't know, it's a problem that needs a completely different approach.
And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are done for now, but don't worry. Do not fret. Not yet, for more content is still coming your way 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. What a joy it has been to share our time with you. We hope you feel the same. Adding value to your every single day is our job here, and we take it very seriously. Folks, the only thing we ask in return is that you consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it. Stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. And folks, if you'd like to subscribe to our partner YouTube channels, That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and some of those radio stations like Vacation Radio, well, we certainly would appreciate it. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time and being invited into your day, folks, we go on our way saying this: keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.